How and what global threats are people's attention diverted from?
The world is standing on the brink.
In 1998, a sharp shift in the planet's core was recorded. The Earth is preparing for a mega earthquake. This is all the result of changing cosmic cycles. Every 12,000 years, the Earth experiences global climatic catastrophes.
Time has started the countdown. The bell is already ringing for us. Do you hear it? The planet is in agony.
Right now, all together, we can change a lot. We can not only survive, we can gain tremendous opportunities. We can live with dignity. After all, together we can do a lot. While separately, we can do nothing. Life is worth fighting for.
Today, there is nothing more important than information on how our humanity can survive and how to save our planet. This information will be voiced at the conference, Global Crisis, Time for Truth, on December 4th, 2021, in 100 languages, with a live broadcast on thousands of media platforms around the world. We act because we know there is still a chance. But the truth is, there isn't enough of us yet to make the change happen. We need you. It's your time to make a choice. If you hear and share this information, the chance for survival of all humanity will be many times greater. At this conference, we are expecting every person who is not indifferent to their fate, to the fate of their children, their loved ones, to the fate of all humanity.
Welcome, friends, to the international discussion. We are about months and a half away from the December 4th conference, and December 4th conference has given such a huge resonance around the globe. And now we are discussing this topic. There are a lot of conversations that are happening about what has been presented in the live conference that took place on December 4th. And again, it was organized by volunteers from over 180 different countries in order to bring the truth to the people, so together we can decide our future and what it looks like. And also, I would like to remind our guests and our friends that are watching us that the next conference will be happening on May 7th, 2022. And it's going to be an international forum where we will come together and continue the discussion about what is happening to the climate, to environment, and what is happening to us people as we continue to grow and evolve into a bigger and better civilization we know we can be. So today we have an international discussion, and we are in North America. So we got Canada and United States, and I will introduce our guests. We have Luke McMichael. He's a computer engineer from Ontario, Canada. So welcome, Luke. We also have Natalia Kunetchy. She's a logistic operator from Audrey, Canada. We got Wilkens. Etienne, he's IT specialist from the Florida, USA. My name is Olga. I am from Michigan, USA. And my co-host is Tali. He's in California, USA.
Thank you so much, Olga. It's really a great pleasure to be here with you. And it's a great honor to be participant of the Creative Society movement and to participate in preparation of the conference that we had on December 4th and the forum that we're about to hold in May 7th. And what I can say as a participant, that even though I'm a volunteer and I dedicate my time, none of us knew exactly how great the impact and how great the result is going to be, because we can only reach out to that many people, but you don't see the global scale. It was the first time in the history when people, volunteers themselves, made this comprehensive review of the global situation in ecology, in our tragic situation that we have with refugees, and the most comprehensive possible picture of the climate change, because so many scientists and specialists from different areas of research were gathered at one platform. And when we see scientists from different fields of research getting together, showing the research, we can see this comprehensive picture, how much interconnected these things are, how much interconnected things that are going inside of the core of our planet, and what's going on outside, what's going on with volcanoes, with wildfires, how all these things are interconnected. And this was really historical. This was for the first time in the world where, in our current history, something like this was made by people themselves, with no corporate interest, with no governments, with no authorities involved. It was pure desire of the people to voice the truth, to find the truth, and to speak about the solutions. The most important thing, that we know the way out. We have to unite as a civilization and unite our scientific potential to really solve the problems, to research it, and to find out things that might be not profitable, might be not so profitable as talking about a certain topics that are popular right now, but that can save human lives. And that's the most important thing. So my first question I would like to address to Natalia. Natalia, in your opinion, how much historical this event was, and what was the impact on our history, and your personal impression about the conference?
Well, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I would like to say that it was really global for me. Like, the scale was amazing. I was just literally shocked about the information I heard, because I read a lot too, and I watch a lot different kind of documentaries, but I never expected that the extent of the problems we are facing are so huge. So my feelings about the conference are really let's say mixed feelings, because on one side, I've seen a lot of new information. I've seen the plain truth, which was shared by eyewitnesses, by people who actually went through that, and by people who are dealing with that, like, for example, human trafficking, right? With refugees, with even with the climate, people who are actually involved in that process, not just people on the screen translating or transmitting this information, people who are actually living that life. So for me, the scale was just amazing, let's say, and the courage of the people to say what they feel, what they experience, what they actually see the solution in, also was something really brave. It's not something you can see every day on the TV or anywhere else. It's something which came from the bottom of people's heart, and it came out of the pain. It came out of the knowledge. So it was really, a people's deal. It was a people's gathering, a people's, let's say, I don't know, it was amazing for me. I have no words, really. Thank you.
Yes, it was such a historic moment, and I know that our history will never be the same, because we are now finally having those growing up conversations between each other. And I wanted to ask Luke if he could share his impressions about the conference and what he felt during watching it, and any other impressions.
Yes, thank you. So I'm still relatively new with the Creative Society. It's only been a few months. It was the December 4th conference that kind of brought me in. And I've always been a huge supporter of, the climate crisis, and trying to figure out how we can deal with it. And what I always think about is, when we see something like this, how does it impact our lives? What can we change personally to make the world better? So I'd like to focus on, we know pollution is bad. No matter how much or little it might be affecting climate change, whether it's coming from the core of the earth or from our greenhouse gas emissions, we know that, or even just general volcanic ash. We know all these things have a factor. So some of these things, we talk about the core of the earth causing all these climate changes. And in some cases, people will take that as a reason to not worry about it. We can't change that. We can't change the core of the earth by polluting less or by having less greenhouse gases, for example. And I don't want anyone to take that as a cop-out saying that we have to stop polluting less. We do need to stop polluting less. And we need to just do all these things in tandem and together. We need to understand everything together and not say that it's one problem and not another problem. We might just understand that there's multiple problems at work here.
Yes, Luke. So when we hear people sometimes thinking that if it's a problem with the core and we cannot solve it, so let's just concentrate on the problems that we can solve because we can do something about the emissions. Well, first of all, it's been 40 years us seeing people trying to do something about the emissions, and the emissions is just growing and the pollution is just growing. So when we see in this format where it's all about the money, it's all about this a huge international business of selling trades, and nobody's interested in lowering the pollutions. And we see them talking about reducing fossil fuels and going to green energy. And in fact, the green energy solutions they are offering are requiring fossil fuels on each stage on its production and maintenance, and then create more toxic waste than anything else. We just question ourselves, what kind of solutions are there? And why don't we concentrate on real problem we're seeing? And if it seems that currently our science is not in the right place to solve it, then we as a creative society, we're saying, let's create the platform on which scientists can openly discuss things without any threats from the mainstream media, who are basically concentrated on making certain profits. All right, we live in a profit-driven society. So let's openly discuss things that might be hurt someone's pockets. Yeah, that's true. It's gonna definitely hurt the pockets of those people who make money on CO2 quotas trades, and that's a huge international business. It also might hurt people who benefiting from fossil fuels in the future. In the long-term perspective, we definitely have to step away from that too. But let's be honest about the problem. If there is a problem, and it's beyond CO2, then why nobody's talking about the solution? Are we sure as a civilization that we're taking into account all causes of the climate change? Or are we just trying to silence the voices that are not comfortable for the mainstream media? But in that case, if that's true, then we're risking millions and billions of human lives just to make someone comfortable. So we are not here to make anyone comfortable. We are here to voice the truth. We voiced the truth on December 4th, and anyone who watched the conference as a whole can see that there are no unproven facts. There are no anything that cannot be scientifically proven, checked, just because it's not voiced on the mainstream media and it's not in the corporate interest to voice this kind of facts. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be discussed widely. This was the first time in the history when people, not corporations, not big TV companies, created this sort of event that makes basically comprehensive review of the global crisis we have in every sphere of our life. So we as people, we really witnessing something unprecedented. And people have nothing to compare it to. So people saying, who's behind it?
Sorry, so just to kind of finish my thought, absolutely agree that this is a crisis of epic proportions, and we all have to do our very best to understand the problem and solve the problem. But I'd like to, as part of the creative society, what I like the most about it is that we can kind of talk about specific solutions. Let's focus on the specific things we can do today to make a difference. And yes, getting the word out there, getting information, getting truth out there is probably the most important thing. But we also need to focus on actions as well as
that's a beautiful message. That's exactly what we should do, and that's actually what I would like to ask Wilkens about. What about the solution, Wilkens? You've seen the conference, I know, and what was your feedback, and how do you see the solution, the positive part of it? What should be done in order to change something in a positive way, from your perspective?
Yeah. My impression of the conference was that there is a major issue happening with our climate, and whether or not it's created by human activity or natural process, it needs to be addressed. And the Creative Society is, from what I've seen, the only group of people who are coming together to really look to find an answer, honestly, and to explore all possibilities without interest of one particular group. It's just people coming together and really voicing what we already know is happening, doing it unafraid. So it's a real situation that we have on our hands, and the Creative Society is really, in my opinion, the only group that's looking at it honestly. We talk about it openly, candidly, just get everyday people. Sometimes I think, Luke, to your point, it seems almost like illegitimate because it is not backed by the mainstream science that we're used to seeing. And, these are just a group of people, but I mean, aren't we all, scientists? They're just people, just like everyone else. So, in the Creative Society, I think, there is that honesty that I believe that, okay, these are everyday people, who are concerned and who want to do something about this, so why not believe them? I know I'm no expert, but I mean, I can have, an intelligent thought. I can form, a conclusion based on my life experience and what I've observed in the world. So when I hear the problems that are echoed, it really resonates with me, and it really makes sense that, hey, maybe, it's not a matter of CO2 being pumped in the air. Maybe it really is, the core heating. And if it's that, then the Creative Society is saying, hey, it's going to take the full potential of humanity to solve that. It's easy to say, okay, it's CO2. Okay, let's recycle more. Let's put solar panels on our houses and do all of that. Approaching the idea of how do we stop the Earth's core from heating is huge. That just blows my mind right there, but it's going to take the full potential of humanity to solve this big problem on our hands. And Creative Society is the only folks who are talking about it. So I'm 100% with it.
So just to throw in a comment there. So the scale is so huge. It's very easy to get, it's very easy to get to the point where you feel like nothing you do matters. So you get depressed and you don't do anything. And that we've been in the cycle for decades now. We know there's world problems going on, human trafficking, pollution, ocean plastic, and all these other huge world issues. They just seem so insurmountable that it's so easy for us to just tune out. And we just focus on the latest, media or the latest pop culture rather than trying to solve problems. So I think one of the biggest things we need to focus on is how do we give people hope? How do we give people something to focus on that they can actually make a difference in, some small way and feel like they're being part of the greater good to solve these problems?
Well, basically, what? I think that people need to grow up. We all need to do that. Hope is when you understand that you are responsible for the life, your children's life, life around of people around you. And basically, yes, it said maybe too much said saying saving the world. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's not it. But when you care about your life, you'll care about lives of people around too. So giving hope, let's start with each other. First of all, to understand the extent that we are as society gravely ill, and we are trying to solve symptoms of our illness by, planting trees or talking about anthropogenic CO2. I want to underline this because we have read a lot of comments saying that you guys are against CO2, against the fact that we need to protect ourselves against it and about pollution and stuff. No, that's wrong. We are not. And we are not saying that, as I understood from the conference, it's not about the fact that CO2 is not a factor. It is, but not the anthropogenic one. The anthropogenic is so minimal because the ocean, as we found out from the conference, is the main producer of the CO2, and it happens because of the heating of the bottom, right? That's what we found from the conference, with many, many facts proven there, right?
Evaporation. The water in the atmosphere is responsible for 80% of the evaporation effect of the heating. And CO2 is for the 10%, but out of those 10%, only one anthropogenic and human produced. Yes.
Yeah, so CO2, there is a small percentage of CO2 affecting this, but everything comes, again, if we talk about the climate problem, from the core. And core is affected by the universe, the cyclicity coming from the universe, right? Those are processes, like huge processes we still need to study. We still need the potential of our scientists to get involved in that and not be involved only in the anthropogenic factor of CO2. You're right. The pollution is there, but that's environment. Environment has nothing to do, or has little to do, with the climate itself. The climate, it's a complex process. That's how I understand this. But giving, again, getting back to the giving hope to people and to the fact that our society is gravely ill, like really, we have created a format, we have permitted a format of society, the consumer format, to take over. And that's our main problem. I think we need to think in like major terms, that we need to change the society itself, the way we work together, because we don't really work together nowadays. We have, as Foster Gamble said in the conference, we have given our, rights and powers to people, have delegated it to them to decide for us, and we forgot that we have the responsibility. But we do have the responsibility. We can't expect a bunch of people to solve the problems of the whole humanity. That's what it is important, to grow up as personality, to grow up in your responsibility for your life, for the planet you live on, for, it's really time to get out there in the universe, even to explore universe. Of course, yeah, I know we need to solve the problems here on Earth first. And Luke is right. We need to focus on what we need to do right now. But in order to be able to do something, we need to unite as people on a common idea. It's not necessary to be, of the same religion or the same culture, to speak the same language and have same I don't know, but we need to have we need to have same values. And if we can focus on the values, common idea we want to achieve, then we can solve everything. The potential of people is huge, is tremendous, guys. I have seen it in this conference. I have seen it like when people really want to achieve something, and the best way to achieve it is to do it, of course, with no violence and nothing like that. Of course, we are not talking about revolutions or any kind of formats we have known before, any kind of, political or any kind of structures. We are talking about a totally new and different way of thinking and cooperation in society.
Thank you, Natalia. Thank you so much. What I feel from the conference as well, that some people's reaction was kind of defensive after the conference, because people consider themselves as good people because they do certain things. They sort the garbage, they talk about CO2 emissions, they make their living out of maybe travel around the world and talking on the conference about the lowering the carbon footprint and those kind of things, and that's what makes them feel as I'm a good person, I'm doing something good. And all of a sudden the conference shows that this is nothing, this is not good, this is not bad, this is do zero effect on what's going on with the climate. So the first reaction is defensive. It's like, oh my gosh, they're trying to tell me that I'm not a good person, that I'm not doing good enough. And that's when people get aggressive, because it's a defensive mechanism of our human nature. But let's be honest, let's take a realistic look at what's going on with the climate. Are we really taking into account everything that affects our climate? And only because certain things we think we cannot affect them, it doesn't mean we don't have to take them into account. When we see at our global scale of the galaxy and we see similar processes going on other planets of solar system, and the processes that are going on the sun itself that we cannot explain with CO2 because there is no anthropogenic factor on those in those places. That's when we might take a step back and just look at what's going on here. Let's take a look at something else, at the situation, how humane we are towards those who are least protected in our society. And we see how many people becoming climate refugees each year and how our society is treating them. Basically, there are no international laws as to how we treat climate refugees. And we see the tendencies. We're going to have tens of millions. We already have tens of millions, but we're going to have hundreds and then possibly billions of climate refugees in the very short period of time. Are we ready to do it as a civilization in which corporate interest and profit is the number one driver of social changes? What's the situation going to be like tomorrow? Wilkens, I would like to ask you the next question. How do we let people know that we need to change something from the humanness perspective? Because if we don't do this, then nothing else matters. I
mean, just to go back on that, to have a reasonable like expectation of hope, or we have to firstly know the truth, really know what's going on, to be honest with ourselves and honest with each other about what's happening, on our planet and in our civilization. We really have to we have to start really speaking honestly, and it's going to take that to to bring us together, to really make that happen. And I think doing this right now, us just speaking, openly with each other about what solutions we can bring. The situation with trafficking, it's so, it's so heartbreaking, honestly, because I see it happen on television and it feels like removed, because, hey, it's not happening to me, it's, unfortunate for those who are going through it. But, right now I'm sitting in my room, climate hasn't affected me. Although just this morning here in Central Florida, we're just a tornado warning. I'm looking out my window and it's raining right now, so there's always like that inner fear too, that I may be one of those climate refugees. It can happen to any of us at any point. So I think, we have to grow up, to echo what has already been said, to really take responsibility on treating each other humanely. What we see on the news, I don't think anyone with, reasonable humaneness in them can see what's going on and just feel indifferent towards that. Although I just spoke about how, it doesn't affect me, you feel like that removed, that can, those feelings come over you. But when I start to think, well, it could be me, how, sometimes you feel like we can't change civilization, but that change does really start within yourself. We have to start being honest with ourselves, and then speaking up and being honest with each other and really talking about what's happening.
Yeah, Wilkins. And you know what? I am sure people from Kentucky thought that it's never going to be them, especially in December when there is no, such weather should be happening. So, and when we interview them and they tell us everything is gone, I don't know what to do, there is no point to anything anymore. And you realize that right now they are a headline in the news and everyone is paying attention to them and everybody cares. But the second you turn off the TV, no one cares anymore.
Yeah.
No one is there to help. No one is there. I don't even know what happens to them. Like, I want to know what is happening to people that just lost everything. Because that could be me. I want to know what programs are in place to get me up and going. Or am I only dependent what's in my bank account, but now I don't even have a debit card to access my money? Like, what is this setup in the country that everyone is looking after in the United States? Do we have something in place that treats human being as number one priority? Or we are just all disposable? So we have to know for ourselves, what do we want? Do we want to live like human beings with capital H? Do we want to thrive? Do we want to know that we have technologies that can help us put counteraction technologies towards climate? Like, what do we do? Like, what is on us to do? So this is the question we have to ask. And I guess everyone is affected. You're affected whether you just know that someone has been human trafficked in your city, or you're affected when you know that the house burned down next door. You're still affected because it is in the informational field. It is in your lifetime. We cannot start solving things in a consumer society because it's always going to come back. No matter how much money you put in it, no matter how much good deeds, anything, the problems are always coming back because it was built on the profit-driven, give me the money model. What we are talking about is when we move into the creative society as official, format of our society around the globe, then things are possible at that point.
I know with the Creative Society, first things first, we have to get the information out there. It's our minds immediately want to jump to the solution, but I think it's very practical to, say first things first. Our first objective is to get the information out there, but then when I allow my mind to wonder and think about all of the the prospects of civilization, like within the format of the Creative Society, I just get so excited. I'm a huge fan of technology. I've worked in tech my entire life. I am excited in the conference. It was talked about the artificial intelligence, Jackie. That is very interesting to me. Although Jackie didn't get to speak at the conference for good reason, they made a very good reason why, just, the whole consciousness thing, understandable. But to me, in the format of the Creative Society, to, let's say, learn a skill instantaneously, right? Have we seen the movie Matrix? Like, that's exciting to me. If I just say, hey, I need to learn how to fly a helicopter, now I'm a helicopter pilot, like those types of things are possible. I think I've heard it said before that everything that happens in Hollywood, all the science fiction that is like conveyed in the movies, those are real possible things. Those are things that have already been achieved, in one way or another, somewhere in the universe. So why can't we have it here right now? I want to be able to teleport to California and have lunch with you, Telly, or go into Michigan and, and be back here in Florida for dinner. I think those types of things will be possible in the future, traveling to other planets, beam me up, Scotty. I love that stuff, so it's exciting for me to think about all the prospects that'll be available to us. And I know it'll happen very quickly once we are in the format, because these technologies aren't developed today because, it won't make anyone money, to, let's say, have free energy. then all the coal companies have to shut down. They said all this stuff in the conference, and it makes absolute sense. What are those investors going to do now? So that's why we really have to just change the format of how we're living now so that these technologies can emerge. And I feel it'll all happen very quickly, just like they say. In our lifetime, we'll be traveling the stars, we'll be doing all of these things that, right now just seem like a dream.
Yeah, Wilkens, for real. A couple of decades ago, we were thinking the official science was telling us that our planet is so unique in the universe and nothing like this is possible anywhere else. And now today, all of a sudden, NASA is opening almost every day another exoplanet exactly like ours. So our horizons are just becoming wider, but we are still looking here about how to make money, right? And in current format of living, it's not possible to solve problems because people who are fighting the problems are not interested in solving the problems, because when they solve the problem, they lose the source of income and stay in the streets, losing their job, basically. So we live in a society where people are financially interested in fighting endless problems without solving them ever, because that means losing source of income. It doesn't make sense when you look at it wider. But somehow we raised in the society that made us believe this is normal, which is complete nonsense. We have to take a broader look at what is the goal of our society. Like, let's take personal life, right? Like, my life has to have a goal. Otherwise, what's the point? We all go to study, we all go to get jobs, we all go to do exciting things in our lives. But where are we going as a civilization? And this is an uncomfortable question because we don't have a goal as a civilization. We don't even bring this topic up. Why don't we make our goal to actually build a society in which everyone is provided with the basic necessities and where basic needs are covered? Wouldn't that be inspiring goal? And then we can use our technologies in a different way. Then now all of a sudden, our goal is not to make more money or raise our GDP, but provide the human level of life for everyone on our planet. Isn't that exciting goal? Natalia, what do you think about the purpose? Can human civilization survive without having a purpose?
Well, definitely not without having a purpose. We have seen that in history, just because, we have always thought of ourselves like people from different countries. I belong to this country. I belong to this group of people. And we always are divided by something. And we never know how we will thrive when actually we will get all the potential together. We don't have this experience to get together as a humanity, like not like a nation. Let's call this nation humanity, and to focus on one purpose, as you said. We need it. I'll give you just maybe not the best example, but it's not many countries who have actually a goal as a country or ideology. It's not a good example, again, I repeat, but China, for example, is a country which is evolving just because they have an idea at the level of country. So if we'll have an idea or a purpose at the level of humanity, a good one, I'm not judging China again. I'm not saying anything because politics is not my. I'm not a fan of it. Let's say, okay. So, but I'm saying that an idea of getting a common goal can unite people, and if people will feel united, nothing can stop them. And solutions are really good. Small solutions I have heard everywhere in the round tables. For example, let's talk about garbage, right? We've heard a lot of scary things in the conference about garbage, and especially the threat of plastic everywhere, like microplastic, everything. You know what? I've heard a solution in a round table from a simple guy working in this area from Russia. He said, you know what, there is science out there. They know that the plastic can be removed and used. Silicons can be used instead. So there is so much science in that already. They know how to do that because silicons are not that it's not a threat for the environment as the plastic is. So he has the solution out there. Nobody hears him, right? We've seen in the documentary of Foster Gamble about that guy from Africa. He has a solution. He discovered free energy. Why nobody knows about that? And he doesn't know how to call it. He just takes it from, they suppose it's from where Tesla was taking it, right? So, but anyways, the solutions are out there. We just don't know about each other. We don't have a common purpose to which we can apply our knowledge. And we can do even more when we will create this kind of society, create a society when I will work at a job because I love it, because this is what I'm passionate about, right? This is where my skills can be applied, not to work at a job where I'm bored or doing that for money. As Luke was saying, we are talking about that for many years, about having an income, a fixed income, actually, when you can just live assured, let's say, you are safe, economically safe, and then you can apply your skills and work in any area you want. Like, can you imagine if you free your potential, not thinking about bills, not thinking about taxes and stuff, but thinking about getting out there your potential? We just imagine how much we can do in that case as humanity. So a purpose like changing a format or bringing a new format of society, like creative format, it's a big purpose. And it's not something we have seen before. We still learn, right, from each other. We still explore this possibility. We still need to share. Like, it's not that we have a solution to everything. That's the point. We need to get together to get solutions. That's the thing.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it just makes sense, like once we all come together, then the solutions will come. But also from my personal experience and interviewing many specialists in different areas, from scientific to financial, and I am not a scientist. I am not in finance. I can build you a website, right? But I interview people from different worlds that I ask them questions that I have, like a simple mainstream questions, and I get my answers, and I put the puzzles together. And that's what makes us true researchers, is just not taking someone's opinion and projecting it onto someone else, but really understanding how all the puzzles play together, and really understanding and being altruistic enough to know that everything is possible. We just have to put our heads to it, right? Or our attention, our time into it. Everything is possible. And I have seen people that, like, I know Luke was saying, give me the solutions, give me the solutions. I have seen people that come on and say, I have a solution. This is how we're going to run the economy. And I want you to promote my book. Now go. And it's like, okay, well, you have a solution, and obviously big ego, and you want your solution to be it. But how do we help you see the bigger picture and put you in touch with maybe thousands of other people just like you that have a solution? And between all of you, we will have the one, or we will have the one that is close enough where every single person is taken into consideration, or where everybody is working towards a goal of bringing this society, making the transparency possible, making the housing possible, the food possible for everybody. So that's what makes creative society. It's just people. We are a platform of people. We are not like, we can't unite on opinions. Like, really, I have plenty. I'm a woman. We don't want to unite over my opinions. But what we can unite over is the idea of building a better world that serves every single human being. And that's what I really like about the creative society.
Yes, Olga, I totally agree with you. We cannot unite on opinions, but we can set a goal. And basically, how Creative Society was formed, where 8 foundations coming from. It's from the biggest survey ever done. Through decades, volunteers have been asking people what kind of society you want to live. And this is what unites all people in the world. They all described what is later been put as 8 foundations of the Creative Society. So people have this request. People have this demand. Now, what Creative Society has been doing is getting specialists together in one table from certain field, and then organize this sort of a game when from the playful perspective, specialists are talking on understandable language, first of all, for others to understand them, and coming up with a solution outside of the box, just thinking outside of the box and just throwing back and forth ideas. And this is kind of format we need to do. Like, how do we do economy that's free of inflation? Like, nobody's even talking about these things right now. Somehow we think that depreciation of our money is normal, that it's okay to lose your savings over time. Like, how come? How did we get to this point? Why is it normal? Why don't we get our specialists and ask them a simple questions? Can we build it differently? Nobody's doing it in today's format because it's not profitable. But Creative Society is given a platform. Like, we can talk about it. We can try to come up with the solutions. And why don't we actually do it? Because we see that what we're currently doing as a society is clearly not working. So shouldn't we try something else? Maybe some last couple of sentences from each one of you as an address to our viewers. And maybe we would like to start with you, Luke.
Sure. So let me just say again, I'm still relatively new, only a few months in, and I just have to say I love it. I love talking with people. I've had more interaction with people with the Creative Society than in years of searching for people to kind of help me along finding solutions to this path. It's been something I've been working on for years, finding solutions. And in just a few short weeks, a few short months, I've been able to kind of find some that I didn't think of before. And we're helping to evolve them. So please get involved. Please learn as much as you can. Be open-minded. Never take anything as 100%. Everything's kind of black. Not everything's black and white. Everything's a little gray. So, but let's learn together and get a little more truth and a little more happiness and a little more hope into our lives each day. Thanks so much for having me today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Luke, for being on. And I know you have been with Creative Society as a volunteer, but if anyone is watching this and wondering how did even this happen, it's easy. You just reach out to us, any social media platform that has an official account of Creative Society, or you can go on the website, creativesociety.com, and click the red button that says join us now. And Wilkens, I do want to ask you to share some of your final thoughts with our audience before we wrap up.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of things today. You know, we talked about obviously the climate situation, misinformation regarding that. We talked about like the recycling, like, you know, pretty much how we trash the planet, and, you know, the trafficking situation. So all these problems exist in our society, and, you know, we're looking for answers. To me, all those answers lie in the format of the Creative Society. You know, that's the only way we're going to solve all of these issues that we're faced with today. And I mean, for a concern like that you brought up, Luke, is like, you know, like, what are we doing? You know, like my mind immediately wants to like start taking action. What are some actionable steps that we can make right now to solving these problems? And I feel what we're doing right now is, you know, is that first step, you know, to get the information out there. The Creative Society, in my opinion, is speaking the absolute truth, and it's being spoken in volumes, you know, but it's up to humanity. It's up to us to decide if this is what we want. You know, we have to put the message out there for the whole world to see. and let humanity make its choice. I hope that we'll make the right choice. I've already chosen. I would like to live in the format of the creative society, but we have to see what the rest of humanity has to say about that. So these roundtables, the conferences, the website, all the information that's available is also a part of that. To just get the knowledge out there and to leave it to humanity to decide. But I hope that we make the right decision.
Thank you so much, Wilkens. And Natalia, would you share your understandings with us too?
Yes, guys. Well, it was a pleasure indeed to hear all of you today, really. And my understanding is, yes, we are in a big crisis. Yeah, we have a global crisis, but I see another crisis too, a crisis of trust between people. So I would encourage everybody to have just a little bit of more trust in each other. Let's learn it again. How is it to trust people? I mean, give it a chance, right? Because we have been divided for so many thousands of years, like so many politics were implemented where they divide people, and it's time just to unite. And as Wilkens was saying, it's time to get out there to everybody, to starting from our neighbors and going to, using our technologies to get to the end of the earth, to talk to anybody, to become friends. It's not, civilization is not about fighting with each other. Civilization is about being a whole. I can feel it, how wonderful it would be if civilization would be a whole, a real civilization. I think is that what it is. And let's set aside everything which divides us and let's focus on what unites us. So that's my message, and I'm happy to be a part of this project, and I'm proud to be, because I see wonderful people, people which are getting out of the box and just, as a humanity. So thank you so much for being here, for having me.
Thank you so much, Natalia. Yeah. Yes. And thank you so much to everybody that has been here. And for me, I know you said action, and that resonates a lot. And right now we are in the informational stage. As we all know, we discussed that today. And the hardest and the most easiest action you can take is really spreading this information. I know it sounds like, okay, how can it be hard and easy? But at the same time, it is the easiest step. We share information all the time. But now, can you share the information that is life-saving for all of us? Can you take personal responsibility, do your own research, understand for yourself the importance of what creative society brings to all of us? And can you find those superhero potentials in you and say, I want to share this message to the world. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it on Facebook. I'm going to put together a video from Twitter, whatever you can do to share this message, or you can come and talk to us like that. So whatever you can do is on you. No one is going to make you do anything. No one is going to tell you what to do. This is the part of growing up and really growing into the creative society format. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. It's been a great pleasure and an honor, definitely. And we would like to wrap up today's international discussion with a video. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with us.
Four months have passed since the time of the previous conference. And over this relatively short period, we have seen how much the progression of climate change and environmental degradation has accelerated. It's important not to remain silent because this survival of all humanity is at stake. It is time for the truth.
We are now in a world where every single day, somewhere in the world, a climate extreme event is going to take place that will break the world record of that particular place.
The European floods this summer or the Western North America heat wave this summer. Both of those extreme events were due to the jet stream reacting in very unusual ways, in ways that climate models did not predict would happen.
When I'm out in the field, I always hear people say that I never thought it would happen to me, and they're always surprised. Can you imagine how devastated you would be if you lost everything that you owned? If you watched the people around you, the people that you love, struggle and suffer or even die?
We have to understand we're one people on one planet, and it's up to us together to solve these problems.
We cannot leave it to our leaders. The leaders have shown that they are not up to the task. The leaders think of themselves as leaders of their own country. They don't care about the rest of the world.
The problem right now is we've all surrendered a certain amount of our power to centralized authority, and they're trying to use that to take over everything. And they've been using this excuse of anthropogenic global warming in order to try to consolidate their wealth and control. So we've got to just completely abandon and expose that.
The discussion about the climate is narrowed down to the reduction of CO2 and global warming gases. And I think the problem is much broader than that.
There's a widespread belief that climate change is a result of human activity. This is reflected in the 5th and the 6th report of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. But these beliefs are wrong.
The world's governments, through the UN, formed the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Now, you would think that would be studying climate change, but they specified that you study the human causes of climate change. So they ruled out all natural factors. They said, no, we're not going to study whether the sun plays a role. We're not going to study whether volcanoes play a role. We're not going to study whether ocean current shifts play a role. And we really don't understand clouds, so we're not going to count them much. What we're going to study is human CO2 emissions, because that's what we can get a handle on. That's not the way science is supposed to work.
Anthropogenic global warming is a grandiose scientific scam of the 20th century.
Green energy is not green at all. And wind power is not green because wind farms require enormous amounts of concrete and metal to construct, disturb wildlife, harm human health with noise pollution, kill hundreds of thousands of birds each year, pollute our air and water supply. We pay high prices for something that will never meet our needs.
We need to build a humanity that lives like a beehive, and we have to build a society that puts human life first. If we combine our scientific, technological, and intellectual resources, we can solve the problem of climate change.
If we fail, we face the real possibility that if we don't get our act together and start preparing for this cataclysm, we face the very real possibility of extinguishing human life on the Earth. A supervolcano is quite capable of completely taking a species out. And I say, if we come together correctly, if we really put our hearts and our minds to the task of preparing correctly, then we could not only survive what's coming, we could be the first species on this nice little blue marble to thrive through the next cyclical destruction.
Let's follow the Creative Society's survival guide. The 3 easy steps. Learn more, spread information, and unite to build a creative society.
After all, this world is given to all mankind with only one purpose: to live and be healthy, happy, to create and not to destroy.
The Creative Society is a project of everyone. We do not collect any donations or funds that disappear in the deep pockets. Instead, each person acts in their abilities and uses resources they already have. It is your opportunity to be a part of the solution and live out your superhero potential.